It's Dale D'Antoni here. Welcome to the Sofa Sessions. D'Antoni, Wayne.
Holy moly, why have you gotten so oldie? Look at me looking like McFoley with no teeth in my mouth because I'm from the South. Eating. Oh, sorry. I tried to keep going as long as I am. But what up? I'm back. Episode 24, Horror Stories Part 4. This is my second recording. I recorded a few minutes of it and I was just straight out messing up. And I couldn't stop. So we're going to redo it again. I definitely want to have good product for you guys. Definitely for the guys who have been listening for a while now. I do appreciate, and I appreciate all the new people listening too. What I am introducing is something called Quick Talk. I think that's going to be the official name of it, but that's just me sitting down talking about, things that I find, important and interesting, and I find worth sharing to you, to people to be able to listen and, think. But the cool thing about this is it may or may not be a weekly thing. It's just when I think of a category or I think of an idea or I think about a topic, then I'll record something. But the thing is, it's only going to be 10 minutes long. It's not going to be your average episode where it's, 20 to 40 minutes long. So that is definitely being introduced. I probably already posted one, but if I haven't, definitely look out for that. And I already do have a couple topics, something like the gym and physical fitness and health, also celebrity news. I don't know why people just love to hear celebrity news, but that's gonna be something. And so yeah, definitely listen out for that stuff. So this episode is the final episode of Horror Stories. Okay. And for the month of October. If you are listening to this, Merry October. Merry Halloween. Hope you guys had a safe and good Halloween. Hope you guys stay safe and just stay safe, So this episode is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be about a specific person, or the stories are going to be about a specific person, this or that, I'm actually pulling these off of offline or off online. I'm pulling these from online. Yeah, that sounds better. So these are from people who have submitted these I got it off of Reddit, I'll just be honest, and there are different subreddits where you can post, like true stories or just little short horror stories. So that's what I'm going to be reading today. And, some of these might be true, some of these might not. I don't really know, but, I do have a few, so definitely excited for that. I was gonna talk about Roanoke, but it's just it's just a lot. Not really a lot, but I just kept messing up for some reason. But in summary, basically this colony was founded a couple times. First time it failed, bad supplies and everything. The second time it was founded by my man John White. Okay, and they were doing good, everything was going great. But they were having trouble, keeping it going because they didn't have the right supplies. And they weren't really friends with their local Native Americans. So my man John White, leaving a wife, a daughter, and a grandchild, goes back to England in hopes of getting more supplies and more manpower. After 3 years he was gone from his family. 3 years goes by and he comes back. And what he finds is literally nothing. Like he goes back to the colony where they were at, and nothing is there. Well, I guess everything is there, but the people aren't. And there's only a couple things that they found, and one was there were a couple carvings of Croatian on the tree, and also CRO, which is the beginning of Croatian, and those were on the trees within the little settlement. All right, and people think that these people fled to an island nearby which had the same name. It was Croatian Island, but there were Native Americans there. So people are like, they didn't have a good relationship with them, but then I guess they turned around and did because that's where they went. There were also carvings on a rock or a couple different rocks, and those were called the Dare rocks or the Dare stones. And they contain written stories that tell the fate of the colonists and personal anecdotes from the person writing them and to the whoever found John White. So the person writing them was actually Eleanor Dare, which was the daughter of John White. So the anecdotes were from her to her father. And that's really all that happened. Scientists and historians still don't really know, what happened. They do have speculations, as everyone does, but they don't fully know what happened. I mean, did they go to the Native Americans? We don't know. Did they all die? We don't know. Did they go to the Native Americans and get eaten by them? Who knows? No one knows. And that's why I just love stuff like that. Like stuff that I just don't fully understand, or stuff that there's no physical evidence as to why it happened or how it happened. Same thing with the pyramids of Egypt. Man, I love hearing about that stuff, because the pyramids of Egypt, there's just so much scientific stuff and so much geometrical stuff that is on there, that it's just insane. The middle of it is like the middle of the freaking planet, I don't know. It's a lot. And I am nowhere near being smart enough to explain any of that stuff. So, but yeah, those are very interesting to me, and I love hearing about stuff. But I also hate it, because I definitely want to know an answer to it, but I can't, because they don't know, we just don't know. But without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and start reading these stories. I already pre-read them, and I just kind of picked out the best ones, and these I think are pretty good. My father grew up in a haunted house, creaking floors when no one was there, doors closing by themselves with nobody there, and weirdest of all, my father's sister was strongly plagued with nightmares once they moved into the house, and she was only 5 at the time. She would scream in her sleep and wouldn't wake up whenever she was having one of her screaming fits. Her parents tried to wake her up, much of the time with ill success. When she would finally wake up, she would start crying and say the man was getting closer to her bed. She described the man as only having half of a face because part of his head was missing. My father's mother felt disturbed by this, as her child was only 5 at the time, and so she could not have gotten these images from any sort of media, as this was a long time ago. Fast forward to a few months later, the nightmares get worse. At this point, her parents attempted therapy, which results in no change whatsoever. But they're getting desperate. A little time later, her mother was vacuuming her room, and while doing so, heard some larger objects get lodged within the vacuum. She opened the vacuum cleaner bag to see what the objects were. Turns out, the vacuum cleaner sucked up a few human teeth. A few calls later, they discovered the previous owner of the house shot himself in that very room. I guess they weren't thorough with the cleaning. Needless to say, they moved out as quickly as they could after that. My aunt never experienced nightmares to that extent again. Alright, that was the first one. And I'm not going to lie. I'm not on the sofa. I'm at my desk. But my desk, my back is facing the entire room. And it's kind of scary. I'm not going to lie. And it's dark at night. I should have freaking kept the light on, but hey. You only live once, you know what I'm saying? But I might just turn the light on because I'm a little baby. Complete and utter baby. Alright. But that was the first one. I thought that one was pretty good. I did like it. A couple of these are a little bit longer. This next one is a little bit longer. It kind of reminds me of Barbarian, Alright, I got up and turned the light on, but to my dismay, one of the lights actually blew, so there's only one light left, and of course that light that's left is pointing towards me. So that's amazing. Awesome for me. I really hope that I don't die after reading these. Hopefully I don't summon some type of scary sex demon, but if they did, welcome. Welcome to the So Physicians. Alright. This is another one. This goes out to my boy Timmy. I'm just kidding. Nobody signed it. I was just saying that. Sorry, just trying to clear my throat. Alright. Just gonna be making sure that worked. Of course it worked. Every year, me and my family would go to the beach in Florida, and we would drive 8 hours to get there, and we rent a condo to stay for a week. When I was 12 in 2013, we rented this condo that was rumored to have an extra condo connected, but it was abandoned or never used for an unknown reason, but yet the building says that the condo does not have an extra room. When we got in the room and finished unpacking, my grandmother was getting ready to cook the Louisiana gumbo, and the rest of us were getting to go down to the beach and go to the pool. After we got back up, I decided to put my suitcase in the closet of the room that me and my older brother were sleeping in. But inside the closet, there was a door leading to another room. I jiggled the handle a bit, and it was unlocked. I opened the door slowly, revealing nothing but blackness and air blowing. I used my phone as a flashlight. I shined the light around the room, seeing another kitchen and a living room. I walked around a bit, hearing nothing but the eerie silence along with the pitch-black darkness, as the only light was my phone's flashlight. With the living room and kitchen, the room also had furnished, except... What the frick is this dude writing? With the living room, the room also had furniture, except they were all covered in dust. In the living room, there was a TV that seemed to be back from the mid-1990s. A stack of VHS tapes on the TV stand. On the counter that had a random sink and an ice maker had a Windows 95 computer. The refrigerator in the kitchen seemed to be from the 80s, and a wooden antique dining table with some old newspapers, and magazines. I still remember one of the newspaper's main articles and the date on it. October 14th, 1996. The article was about missing persons case. It was talking about 64 people that went missing inside the same condo building that I was in. And it said the room's number. My heart dropped on my stomach as I saw the room's number. It's the same condo that me and my family are staying in. To make it even worse, the article had mentioned the extra room. And it even said that the only way to get in the extra room is a hidden door in a closet, and everyone who went in there never came back out. I dropped the newspaper in horror as began to look for the door that I came from. I'm very sorry, but this is literally what he wrote. I just copied it and pasted it, and I'm trying to understand and not say it how it is, but it is, and I'm sorry. Suddenly I heard a thud coming from somewhere in the room. It was nothing. In the living room I found a door. I walked over to it, then opened it. When I opened it, it was a bedroom. But more than that, I saw something very disturbing and forever would haunt my memory. There were skeletal human corpses all over the room, and I mean they were real human skeletons, all in pieces scattered all over the place in piles. Suddenly I saw something even scarier. In the bedroom there is a bathroom, and standing in there was a humanoid thing facing the opposite direction. With my phone's flashlight not shining far enough to illuminate the thing, I could still make out some of the features. It was about 8 feet tall. Its arms are so long that they passed the knees, and its head was 2 times smaller than normal average human head. I stared at that thing for a few more seconds until I saw movement of the thing. Immediately closed the door and walked back to the kitchen where the door I came out of was. When I made it to the door, I heard footsteps coming from the room where I saw the thing. I didn't want to find out what was making those footsteps, so I immediately opened the door and got out of the dark and dreaded room. I never felt better when I was back in the closet where I put my suitcase. I opened the closet door to see the bedroom that me and my older brother were sleeping in. Next thing I heard laughter outside of the room. It was my family chatting and visiting. I went outside of the bedroom and my family greeted me. Good thing that the gumbo my grandmother cooked was ready, so I was able to make my dish along with everybody else. 5 years later, I was watching the news talking about a 14-story condo building caught a very bad fire and killed 25 people inside. It was the same condo building that had the dreaded room that I was once back in 2013, and they said the fire came from the 9th floor and condo number 788, the exact condo that me and my family stayed in, and the one with that dreaded room. The building's fire was extinguished out of the rest of the building and had to be demolished. I'm sorry, this is terrible. To this day, it's still scary to think about that room and what would have happened if I never got out of there. I think if I never got out of that room, I would have probably became one of those skeletons that I saw in that bedroom. It's very scary to think about. Also, I forgot to mention my family didn't seem to be aware that I went in my room. Okay, I am sorry. And that probably was a terrible, terrible experience for you, but I promise you, when I was reading that the first time, I did not find a lot of that stuff. Like, I didn't it just, I don't know. It just wasn't, like, I don't know, it just wasn't that choppy. But, whatever. You guys understand it. But, if he was in that room, he definitely would have been able to smell that. And that would have been a terrible smell. So that one very well could have been fake. And I can probably even research this to see if it is real or not. It was in Florida. Fire happened. They had to demolish it. But the dude or girl, whatever, was from Louisiana, it seems. So that's probably why the talking was terrible. Alright, on to our next one. I was upstairs in my room one night playing video games with the volume really, really loud when I thought I heard noises coming from downstairs. I muted the TV and listened closer. Nothing. I resumed playing the game for another hour when I heard it again, only louder. I was sure I heard it this time and was a little freaked out. To assure myself, I went downstairs to the basement where I thought I heard the noise coming from. As soon as I opened the basement door, I was hit with a cold breeze. I went downstairs and saw the window wide open. I was 100% sure I had closed and locked all the windows in the house. I was ready to make a run for it when something stopped me. I turned around for the first time, noticed the closet door was slightly cracked open. I stood for what seemed like 30 minutes in front of that door, debating whether I should open it. I moved closer and put my hand on the doorknob. All of a sudden, I heard a creepy crackle coming from inside of the closet. I have never ran faster up a flight of stairs before. I locked the door and called the cops, who had an unusually fast response time. They came in and searched the house, and not even 5 minutes into their search, I heard a gunshot from downstairs. A few minutes later, they came out with a deranged-looking man, probably homeless. They put him in the back of the car and told me that they opened the door and the man was holding a gun, shot him, and missed. He luckily missed, and the cops disarmed him and arrested him. The scariest part was how close I was to opening that door and likely to be murdered. Oh, that boy almost dead, bro. Oh my gosh. But that one was a little bit better. It wasn't as choppy as the other one, but a couple of those things, it was a little bit better. But that one was good. I did enjoy that one. That was a good time. And that was during quarantine. So that's why it was he was like confused as to why there's noise. Alright, this one is called My Girlfriend Talks in Her Sleep. My girlfriend talks in her sleep. At first it was cute and hilarious to tell her what she said. It was harmless nonsense. The sky is folding, or we need to raise the ground. We talked the next day about it if she remembered her dream, but she never really did. I wish I knew what she meant by we need to raise the ground. Some context. Our nightly routine is for us to start out cuddling and then give up once it gets too hot. Then we're usually both on our sides, back to back. She would fall asleep before I do, and so I would hear the full range of her nightly musings. Honestly, at first, I was eager to hear what she said. It was always funny to tell her and our friends what she would say while deep in the throes of REM. But now I'm done. I'd prefer she not talk anymore. How am I going to sleep after what happened last night? Last night, around 11 p.m., she was asleep and I was still up reading. Back to back, I hear her mumble something under her breath. I couldn't quite make out what she said, but I lean over from my book to peek at her face, and she is sleeping soundly. I return to my book, get absorbed back into its pages. At some point, I fall asleep. Next thing I know, I'm woken up by my girlfriend talking at full volume. I open my eyes, and at some point in the night, both of us have turned to lay face to face. My girlfriend's eyes are wide open. She is staring right at me, mere inches from my face. But her eyes are vacuous, like she's looking through me. These eyes, man, it's like she was straining to widen them as much as possible. Those are the eyes I fell in love with, and right now they are scaring the absolute crap out of me. My heart rate skyrockets and choke, full of adrenaline. I throw off the covers and jump off out of the bed. Looking at her, her eyes follow me like a painting, but her body stays still. For 1 second, I decided that my booklight was keeping her awake, and what she had said was, "Can you please turn that off?" Now, out of bed and looking at her, she's not right. Her body hasn't moved, but her eyes start from looking at me to looking around the room. I dare to ask her, "Are you all right?" No response. Those eyes look at me when I speak, though. They are now deadlocked, looking right into my eyes. Her breathing hasn't changed. That is the sleep breathing for sure. That's when, while looking right at me, she says in a too deep voice, "Come back to bed, dearie." My girlfriend has never called me dearie before. We have pet names, sure, but they range from pumpkin, baby, to cupcake. Dearie sounds like something my grandmother would call me. I decided I'll get more information before I climb back into bed with the potentially possessed girlfriend. "Are you awake, sweetie?" No response. The eyes dart from me to the wall, to the door, and then to the ceiling. I'm about to nope out of the room when her wide-open eyes roll to the back of her head. The whites from those eyes stand out in the dim radiance of the booklight. "No pupils in sight," she insists. Of course I'm awake. Come back to bed. With a subtle tap of her fingers on the comforter. Looking at her fingers now, I'm starting to come around. She's never sleptwalked before. Surely she is awake now. She is moving her hands. But looking at her fingers is though she is pretending to have control. They are all going in different directions. One finger pointing straight down, and the others to the side. Those hands are not my girlfriend's hands. They are simulating normal movement as best they can. I say, "I'm going to get a drink of water, baby. Be right back. Can I get you anything?" Fully planning to run out of the house the moment I'm over the threshold, but my normally agreeable and sweet girlfriend decides I'm not allowed to leave. As serious as cancer, she says in that too deep horror voice, "Take one step out of that door, and I will rip out your throat and crap poop down your neck." Shocked but understanding the importance of not letting this beast know I am in trouble, I reply, "As interesting as a proposition is that, I think I'm going to," and then thinking quickly, I grab my water bottle from the nightstand. This doesn't please my girlfriend, and she decides to start screaming and fingering her way towards me. It is a supernatural scream, so high-pitched and bird-like I feel as though my neighbor 3 houses down were going to ask us if they heard that last night. As fast as I can, I unscrew the lid and douse her in water, like I knew what I was doing. Her eyes close, her garbled appendages normalize, and she is back asleep. I'm going to sleep on the couch for a while, maybe forever. She'll understand when she awakes. That was probably the most stressful part of this entire thing, because while I was reading that, I was constantly looking over my shoulder to make sure a demon was not watching me. Okay? But that is it. That is the last one of horror stories. I wanted to keep it short. I didn't want to take too long on this one. So I really do appreciate everybody listening to this episode and to all the other episodes. Like I said, Quick Talk should be up by now. If you haven't listened to it, definitely go check that out. It's just a really quick episode, nothing long. I don't really get into anything big. I just kind of talk about, something that is important to me. Also something that I think is interesting. So definitely go listen to that. It might introduce you into something new, might inspire you into something. I don't know. But as always, we appreciate everybody listening. Thank you so much for listening during October. That's a big deal. We got through another month. Happy Halloween to everybody. Definitely be safe when going out to parties or trick-or-treating. Definitely go follow us on Instagram at the Sofa Sessions Pod. Definitely email us as well at the same handle. Thank you guys so much for continuously listening and sticking around. And, I appreciate every single one of you. Stay safe out there and don't tell anybody your next move.